Hi, I'm Tim Green, and today I'm going to be reviewing the VaprLife Pearl AV with the optional pulse circuit. In this sense, AV means adjustable voltage. This is a variable voltage mod. So let's take a look what came in the kit. In the full kit, as you can see, there comes battery charger. There comes 4 15270 batteries. It uses 2 of those at a time. A screwdriver, a small screwdriver for adjusting the voltage. The mod itself, come to that in a second, and a velveteen pouch. This is the mod itself. As you'll see, this is a variable voltage mod, but it doesn't actually have a voltage display. Now at first I thought that was going to be an issue for me. Being used to the Provari with the easy adjust and the voltage display and all the other bells and whistles that it has, I have to admit, I mean, the Provari is one of my favourite mods of all time. I honestly thought there might be a problem with this. Turns out it wasn't such an issue, but I'll go into that in a minute. The mod itself, it's very well crafted. It's quite light. There's some nice features about this. It's a 510 fitting. This one's a 510 fitting, I should say, and it has an adjustable collar. And what that means is basically, I mean, to stop you from over tightening. You take your atomizer. In this case I'm going to put it in a G4 Atomizer, and you screw that in like so until it bites. And as you'll see, if you can just see here, there's a bit of a gap between the top of the collar and the Atomizer itself, and all you do is you simply twist that until the gap's closed. Now that is basically an adjustable pin. It's just a different way of doing it, and I found that that's actually quite effective, because now I take the Atomizer off, if I refill it or whatever, put it back on, I can screw it in knowing that I'm not going to over tighten it. It's very simple and it works really well. Take this off for a moment. Now the voltage is actually adjusted through this tiny screw hole here using the supplied screwdriver. The only downside that I found to this is that it doesn't actually have min or max either markings or even the actual dial. You can carry on turning it clockwise or anti-clockwise ad infinitum. It won't stop. It would have been nice to have some form of grading so that you could tell roughly where you are. Now when I ordered this, I did actually want to order the voltage meter. There's a voltage meter you can get to go in the top, but they were out of stock. In the end I ended up making one of my own, using a voltage meter from Mad Vapes, and I basically soldered on a couple of wires which then went on to the inner casing from a clear Atomizer, just so that it had a stem and it was a bit sturdy. Oops. And then I wrapped the lot in tape just to make sure that I didn't create any shorts or what have you. I do particularly like the craftsmanship that's gone into this. It's a simple design, but there are some nice touches. I mean, the way that the bottom spring there, it's a hot spring, the way that that's actually crafted it's just an attention to detail that I do particularly like. It's a nice spring, and it does what a spring does, and it's completely functional. I'll put in a couple of these 15270s. These are freshly charged ones. for those who don't like stacking batteries, then this isn't the mod for you. Now it's worth mentioning that this comes with a pulse circuit. Now that's an optional extra. The one major advantage with the pulse circuit, according to the website, is that it allows you, with those two batteries and a pulse circuit, you'll get, they reckon you get an extra 4 to 5 hours battery life, because it's not a constant current, it's rapidly switching current, and therefore there's less drain on the battery. The downside, again, the pulse circuit, as you see, I had to put in 250 and 270 batteries. If I hadn't have got the pulse circuit in this, I could have used it as a 3.7 volt mod just by putting in a single 14500 battery. So that's kind of the trade-off. In my mind, to be able to have the variable voltage and for have the longer life with the pulse circuit, that seemed to make more sense to me. The button itself is very responsive. As you see, that's quite a bright LED on there. It's not too bad in the daylight, but night time or in lower light conditions like here, that's quite bright. So if that's something, if you're looking for something that's inconspicuous, it's not going to be the mod for you. Something that I haven't mentioned as well with regards to the collar, as I said, this is the 510 version. They do an 801 version. Now the 801 version has also got adjustable airflow. Now obviously I can't talk about that because I've neither seen the 801 version nor used it, so, but I do quite like the idea of adjustable airflow. The VaprLife mods, it's a little unusual actually, the way that they do their mods, because their standard default mod is 5 volts. All of their mods, they do 5 volt versions. Pretty much all of their mods, they do AV, adjustable voltage versions, which is great. There's a couple on there that are 3.7 volt, but yeah, it was nice to actually see that the majority were higher voltage devices, which is great. Now, the display and the voltage change. I'll just put the batteries in. I'll screw in my voltage meter and I'll check the voltage. It's currently set to 4.7 volts. Now, if I remember rightly, this mod goes all the way down from between 6 volts and 2 volts. But let's just try that out. Now I'm giving this a few, because as I said, there's no gradient on this, so there's no way of knowing when I've hit the maximum. So I'm going to screw it a few times, and in theory that should be the maximum voltage there, which is showing 5.9 volts. So yeah, that's probably 6 volts maximum. Let's see what it's showing now. Yeah, it'd be 6 volts maximum, all the way down to a few turns. Oh, drop the screwdriver. That's off. That's off. I've turned that so low the voltage meter doesn't register it. Now, if I turn a few extra screws, no. And this is the only downside of not having the display, really, is the fact that until you get your desired voltage, you need some way. I mean, you could just stick a multimeter on this. You don't need to do what I've done here, but it's just easier, I found, to just give us a few screws, try and get back to some working voltage. what have we got there? 3.77 volts. Now, I'll show you how sensitive this is. I'll just give this a quarter turn, like so. A quarter turn takes us from 3.77, so it does take quite a little bit. Now, one of the things I was concerned about was the ease of changing the voltage. As you can see, it's not particularly easy. That's at 5.3 now. I'm going to take this down to about 4.7, 5.1. Now, you can see the faff I'm having. But I've got to be honest, once I got the voltage I wanted, I didn't really tweak it beyond that. There's 4.8, that'll do nicely. I didn't really tweak it beyond that, and I've noticed, I analysed the way that I was using my Pravari, and I tended to only change the voltage when I was using a different atomizer, whether I was using a tank, or whether I was using a G4 cart, or whether I was using a different juice. And I don't do that as often as I used to. I mean, I used to always just change and change and change, but my habits become a little more settled now. And I found that I set the voltage, and that'd be it. And to be perfectly honest, what really surprised me was that those two small 15270 batteries, they'd last me the day. I'm not the lightest of vapors. I would classify myself as a heavy vapor. But those two batteries, those two small batteries, would last me the day. Now, as an experiment, I tried running a home-built mod using those two batteries, so no pulse circuit, nothing like that to deal with, and I got 4 hours. So it just proves to me that the pulse circuit is actually doing what it says it does. I'll put a G4 on, and this thing vapes really well. Of course, we're not talking about the atomizer, so I mean, however it vapes, that's all down to this part. This is basically a battery, but what I do like is that it vapes at the constant voltage until it can't maintain that anymore. So it's regulated voltage. But I'll show you how it vapes anyway, because we all like to see that. What can I say? It vapes really well. It does what it says on the tin. I don't miss the voltage display, as I thought I would do. I don't miss the fact that I can tweak the voltage, because I don't need to. I set it for whatever I'm using for that day, and it maintains it, and that's all I needed to do. The thing that I do like about it is that it's not bulky, it's not heavy. As you can see, it's not a huge mod. To give you a bit of scale, if I put my Pravari next to it, there's obviously the Pravari's a bit longer. Pravari's a bit longer, but it's a lot fatter. There's quite a distinct difference in weight, but then again, this is steel, and this is, by its weight, I can only assume that this is alloy. It's a lot more discreet. apart from the light. I mean, the LED is an issue, but one thing I will say is they have a nice choice of colours, and you can choose the colour of the LED. So you can, I mean, I opted for just the silver and the white. You could go for something a little bit more discreet, as long as the coloured LEDs aren't as bright as that, you'll be able to get away with it. I actually really like this. When I placed the order, it took just over 7 days to get here from the States. Can't complain that at all. I don't have really much more to say. It does what it says on the tin. It's a nice break the joint. It's a nice mod. VaprLife do quite a few different types of these. They do one called the Turbo, one called the Joker, and they've recently released a new variable voltage mod called the Diamante. Now, demand appears to have been pretty high on that because they've got none available at the moment, but the Diamante is kind of like a hybrid between the Provari and this, in that it's got up and down buttons for the regulation of your voltage, and it's got a voltage display built in, and maybe that's why they didn't have any their own voltage meters in stock. I don't know. It's a good mod. That's about all I can say about it. When I've had it in my pocket, I've been using it exclusively, and for me that speaks volumes. Will I keep it? I don't know. I like to chop and change mods quite a bit, but it's a nice mod. Simple as. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you found the review useful, and stay tuned for more.